Nobody fears television. No one frequents truth. Neural failure tension. No more feature tales. Nobody finds territories. Newly found time. Nuclear family totems. No one finds TV. Disinformation. Nobody fears television. No one frequents the truth. Neural failure tension. Naturally formed tales. No one fears television. My feelings my feelings Nobody fears newly found talent. Nobody fears newly found feelings. Nobody fears television. No one frequents truth. Neural failure tensions. No more feature tales. Newly found time. Nuclear family totems. No one finds TV. My feelings And that is that. That is an experiment, which I was trying in real time. Let me just close this because it will get weird. Although I kind of like it. That's my voice, by the way. Watch. So I could leave that on all night. But I won't. Just give me a second here. Let's see who's in the house. Oh, man. So here's what happened. I was working on this modular patch, which you can kinda see it. I think you can see it. I can't get it any brighter than that. But I was doing stuff and I was messing around. I'd done these weird things. And I thought I would basically just do this weird instrumental. And then by accident, I played this little loop that I had that I was just going to play at the end of the night. It was just a loop and that I'd made a long time ago, actually. And somehow the two mixed together really well. So I thought I would just write a song on the fly and try something. And that's kind of like the weirdness of tonight. But as you can see, I'm wearing glasses. And that's because 2 days ago, I went to get my eyes checked. I'm fine. Just saying that I'm fine. There's nothing wrong. As one gets older, you might need reading glasses, and I do. But my pupils were dilated, and it triggered a migraine from hell. And I was in bed for like 2 days with a migraine. And I was told that when I go outdoors, I need to wear sunglasses. So I was just toying around with finding sunglasses in the house, and I finally found these before the show, and I thought it would be funny to have them on. But the truth is, it actually helps. In a weird way, it actually helps with the screen. So I don't know if that's just me. I don't know what it is, but I'm enjoying it. So, whatevs. So, hi, everyone. Mike, nice to see you in the house. Hope you're feeling a little bit better, my friend. Fabian, Claudio, thank you so much for being here. Emilio, what's up? Nice to see you here. Chris, Ira, Veronica, DJ Tommy G. Who else is in the house? Well, you can see yourselves in the house, but oh wow, there's a lot of you. Nice. Well, so it's been a tough week with the whole eye thing and then getting, well, we'll talk about that later, but we'll talk about post-show depression later, because that's actually an interesting topic, because that doesn't get brought up very often. I don't even know if I brought it up last week. I can't remember. It's all a blur because I was resting after coming home from the tour. But the reality of it is, I do sometimes get, post-show depression, which is an interesting phenomenon for the performer. It's a strange thing, actually. It's because you've come off of this huge high and it's over, and then you're like, when's the next? And you're just like, it's almost like an addiction or a fix. You need it. You have to do another show, and then there's no shows. And then it's like, well, I'll go back to recording. And that was going to be good, to go back to recording and doing stuff. I've been posting that I was going back to the 3 EPs I'm working on and like fixing them. But it didn't work out that way. I decided instead I was going to take care of my eyeballs. I wanted to have, good glasses for the screen, because let's face it, I'm in front of a screen a lot. And I thought that, it was time. The last time I did it, well, there's a story to that too. But TMT Mixes says the answer is to tour more often. Oh my gosh, for those of us not in Texas and Florida, that works for us too. Oh man, I have to say, I am like jonesing to do some shows in Ohio, in Detroit, um, Florida, Seattle, which was awesome. I want to go to the UK. Like, there's so much going on. Mexico, like, I'm dying to go back to Mexico and Ecuador and Peru and, of course, Argentina. Like, man, I'm ready. But, things will go, as they must go. So, hold on. Let me get a little more light in here. There we go. Oh, better? Oh, I can't tell, but the camera likes it. I still look like everything still looks dark, but that's okay. I'm going to keep it this way because I don't feel that my eyes are straining right now, and that's a good thing. And back to Jersey, of course. Um, but anyway, I thought I was going to play like a lot of these really old ones, these old demos, just weird stuff. Stuff you've heard in very early on in the stream, but for some reason these were in my head, and I thought that I would play some of them. That's one reason. Second reason is because, of course, I completely missed Tezos Art Week while I was on tour, so I had nothing to mint. And that turned out to not be true because I looked at all my art after the migraine 2 days in bed thing. And then I realized that, you know, so at any rate, I digress. I had a migraine. I was in bed for 2.5 days. Not a thing got done. No planning, nothing. The only thing I was able to do was change this camera and put on the MS-20 cam, which is kind of cool to have. Maybe we'll use it again sometime to get some, I don't know, close-ups of things that are going on in the background of the electronic world. Maybe. But for the most part. Anyway, good evening to you all. Let's start with something really old. So this is like 1985, and people keep asking me about this song and saying if I'm going to release it. And honest truth is probably not. However, um, what I might do with this one is if you collect those NFTs that I've been, minting on Tezos, who knows? I may decide to gift people with it. Because that's something I'm going to be doing soon. There's a couple things I'm doing with the NFT space that are kind of interesting. So I want to talk about that too. And AI has made the news this week again. So I kind of want to talk about that again. Because that topic seems to come up and people are never tired of talking about it. So it's obvious that it's in our world and we have to deal with it. So we'll talk about that too. But this song is from 1985. Yep, it's that old. Straight to cassette. I think it was just a practice. So this is If You Run Away. And I'll play that. Turn on the moon overhead because it's moody. And I'll just chat away. You can ask me all kinds of questions on the chat and I will be happy to answer them. And if this video gets posted tomorrow or the next day or whenever day it's on YouTube and you're watching it and you have questions, feel free to not only subscribe and all that good stuff, but feel free to actually ask me questions on the YouTube chat and I will answer those questions. I promise. I literally read every single comment that I see on my YouTube feed. So if you want to ask me questions, that's a great place to do it. And of course, Twitter. But anyway, let's play this song. Whoa, that's crazy. So, yes, I'm in color now. Oh, what's up, little bro? So Gary's in the house again, which is awesome. Uh, which I think you just might have missed the comment that said it was nice when Gary joined you on stage. So give it up. Gary's on the Facebook. That's awesome. Um, oh, thank you for that. Let's see. Sorry, I'm gonna try to read some comments here because it's kind of cool. They're going by so fast now. Let's see. Gracias por compartir tu música los fines de semana. Saludo desde Mexicali, BC. Thank you, Marcario Segna McWilliams. Awesome, thank you. And I don't know if this was a question, but it somehow got pasted in there and it says, "Do you think extraterrestrials are watching us?" And the answer is yes. I do. I do actually. I think they're entertaining themselves by watching these funky human beings making all these mistakes. Um, but so yeah. Um, let's see. Uh oh. Why do they only watch and not say anything? Well, there's people that do. Um, okay. Questions. I think it looks better if I don't look like I'm a dumbass when I do this. So I think it's better if I do it like this. Um, oh, wow. That's an interesting link. That's the link to the Anything Box book. Oh, that was cool. What was the question? Somebody paste the question. Now it's like really scrolling, so it's a bit tough to keep up. Um, but I'll do my best. I'll try to keep going up and looking. But uh, at least on Facebook says, grew up in the El Paso scene. Your music is always beautifully nostalgic. Thank you for that. Thank you. Um, and extra special hi to Gabriel. Gabriel, thank you for shuttling me around Houston and being a super champ and putting up with me. And I'm definitely going to take you up on that offer about like getting back to Houston just to do some shooting because I think that would be fun. So it's still in my head, man. But so the topic, or one of the topics that I wanted to bring up today was this video I saw where a photographer, and he was obviously a devoted photographer. I should have taken the link for the video, but I totally spazzed out on that. But it's a video where basically he's a photographer. You can see his cameras on the shelves behind him and his lenses. He's very into it. You can tell that he's been doing it for a long time. And from the looks of things, he had gotten some magazine covers. And he was saying that basically he's lamenting what appears to be the death of photography because he was trying out some AI stuff. And he said that, quite frankly, there was really no reason to go out and take a photo. Like, this was his opinion, of course. I don't share that opinion, but I got the gist of his lament. His lament was that he could basically type to the AI, you know, I want to see a crab that's half out of focus behind a crystal ball on the ocean and make it look very moody, that kind of stuff. And 10 versions of this photo would come up. And he said all of them were just as good as what his idea in his head was. He said they weren't perfect. He goes, but they were good enough that if, he were to put his name on it, somebody would know or think that it was his stuff. And so that kind of upset him in a way because he said, I went through all the trouble to learn lenses. I went through all the trouble of learning, f-stops and, all these different techniques to get a good photo. And now all I have to do is tell it to do it for me and it will do it for me. And it got me thinking because, of course, I've faced that in a different way when the electronic music technology was new because people used to say, well, you can play a chord by hitting one note with three detuned oscillators. Well, first of all, they wouldn't know that term, but that's the gist of it, right? I can detune an oscillator and play a fourth or a fifth, right? I can play a chord. But even better, most of the synths of today, I can actually play 4 or 5 notes and say, turn that into a chord, and now I have that chord. And in some cases, I've even played with intelligent music programming where I play a chord and the computer predicts the chord that will come next. And I find that stuff interesting. Mostly in the music sense, I find it interesting because it can give me ideas that I wouldn't have had just messing around, So sometimes I'll do that. I'll hit 3 or 4 notes and turn that into a chord, then mess around to see if something will happen. So there's this exploratory part of all this that happens, right? So I think that if you're an artist or if you're a creative, this could be a cool tool. Oops, sorry, messing up my own microphone here. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, if you're an artist, this could be a really cool tool because you're going to be able to get some ideas in your head that are unique to you. And you're going to have a tool that can actually show you what it might look like. That doesn't mean you have to take that idea and that's the idea you mint, or that's the idea you paint, or that's the idea that becomes a song or a poem. It just means you get to see what it's like. So it's almost like a demo of what's to come next. And then, of course, your natural skills will take over. Now, what if you've got, I mean, I was talking to actually Claudio about this last night. Claudio and Claudio therapy sessions. That's what I called it last night. But anyway, and I hope I'm not paraphrasing here, but the idea is that at least when it comes to the artist, he's got a vision in his head of what he wants to do, and maybe he doesn't have the skill to do that. So that's a different aspect of it too. It's like you have the idea, but your hands just don't have the ability. So now you have a tool that can kind of help you with the idea part. So I find that interesting. So, what does it say? T Mancuso. Oh, hi, Claude. I don't have a performance on Friday and I can watch. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, my friend. So thank you. Thank you for that, for sure. So, the AI thing, the reason I've been seeing it come up a lot, it's just an incredible speed as to which it got accepted, or, well, I shouldn't say accepted because there's a big giant debate over it now. I was basically gone from NFT Twitter, because that's what I call it now, NFT Twitter or crypto Twitter. But I was gone from Twitter for about 11 days, more or less, because I was on tour. So I wasn't seeing how fast things were moving. But then when I got back, I realized that all the new posts that I've been seeing were about bots and AI and like AI assisted drawings, and people saying, if you're using AI, I don't want to collect you. And then there's people that are like, if you're using AI, I only want to collect you. So it's kind of this weird division, of course, yet another divisive thing, right? It seems like everything becomes divisive in one way or another anyway, but that's just my opinion. But with the AI thing and watching that video, I really felt for the photographer because I felt like he didn't know where to go from here. He just felt like he was at a crossroads. And he was asking, do I give up my cameras? Like, do I, and with all the different negative aspects, I did not agree with him at all. However, there was a fact or several facts that he was pointing out that later I went in to look for myself and I found them to be quite disturbing. So one fact is that camera sales in general, of all types of cameras, are on a downward spiral to the point where that market could die. Like we might get to a point where you just don't see professional cameras anymore. where it's just not a thing. And the only things you can collect are old 35 millimeter cameras or old DSLRs. So they might become really cheap. So that's kind of cool in one sense. I'll tell you why that's a cool thing too, because I think that's, actually not a terrible thing, but that's just me being an opportunist. But seeing the graphs for myself as to camera sales, lenses, and all of that equipment, that was sort of scary to see how much of a decline it was. Now, it's obvious that people are using their phones to do this stuff, and I myself love using my phone sometimes to be, quote, the cameraman. However, there's a lot of interesting things that happen when you're looking through a viewfinder or you're holding a camera in your hand and, you have a lens that you have to turn. Things happen with lenses. There's things you can do, like, it's not as simple, let's say on a camera, to do something like this instantly just by the flick of a lens, a flick of your hand. It's not as easy. So I know you can emulate those kind of things, but there's certain things that glass does that only glass can do. And so I find that interesting. And it was kind of scary to see those sales like plummeting. But, on the other hand, it makes you wonder how advanced phones are going to get. And I know there's lens attachments for phones. I've seen those, but I don't know how good they are. I haven't tried any yet. So I think I'm going to have to, But Joseph says cameras handle better than a phone. I totally agree with you. I'm much more at home. I'm much more at home holding this monstrosity, as heavy and crazy as it is, than I am with my phone. I find that with my phone, I'm almost a complete amateur. Like I have to, you know. So that's a trip. So, but let's play a song, and then I'll come back and I see a couple questions, and I'll answer them too. Um, so last week, I played Industrial Wasteland, but I played a demo that we recorded before we went to Germany. This time, I found the rehearsal, and the rehearsal of the song is a little different. It's a little sloppier because it's a rehearsal, and it's from 1988 or 86-ish. I don't know. It's around that time period. Hard to tell because it's just a file now, and it just, doesn't quite tell me. But this would classify as the first recording of the song. So I'm going to play that next, and then I'll come back and we'll talk more about this interesting thing about AI. Let's do... Oh, I don't know. Oh, we'll do overhead. So some visuals. Technology and future need is the picture we'd like to paint. The truth, though, will someday show when there's no rain or falling snow. Ha, that's funny. So, Industrial Wasteland. And as I was listening to that one, I realized I think I have three recordings total. So I'll have to find the other one because this has to be the first recording because Danya's vocal's not in it, but Mike is in it, which means we must have recorded our version before she joined or she just wasn't there that day. So I just think that's kind of funny. But I think it's cool that we have that. So I know there's a rehearsal of it somewhere. I'm going to have to look for it. There are still two reels and about, I don't know, 10 cassettes I have to go through. There's a bit of a mess in the garage and I've got to do some weird moving of equipment still. But I think I'm going to wind up bringing the tape deck back up here because I feel like I was doing more transfers when it was here than it was downstairs. So I'm going to have to bring it up and see if I can find some interesting gems that I have not yet found. Um, so anyway, so someone asked me influences of art influences, and it's a difficult thing because um, I tend to tell this one a lot. So it's now on video again, so that people go, "Oh my God, that's what it is." So when I was really young, I found a book in the library that was like this gigantic book. I mean, it was a big book. Um, and it had no real cover. It was just one of those cloth bound, hardcover books. And on the side was written a word that I had never seen before. And when I saw that word, I don't know what happened, but like a light went off in my head. And I pulled the book out and I opened it up. And when I opened up that book and I looked at all the pictures, I knew that this was where I fit in. And the book was just a book that said surrealism on the side. And when I saw that and I saw the pictures and I saw that era, that was the era that like totally changed anything the way that I was doing things. And from then on, I was going to do that kind of stuff. Although now, I don't know that anyone would classify me as that. I think there are surrealistic elements for sure. But I then got into all kinds of stuff. I got into photocopy art. I got into collage, printmaking, which took me into different areas of different realms. So too many artists to name, really. But there's a few that kind of stick in my head, which I learned a lot from. So those are going to be my favorites. So Klee, Ernst, Miro, um, Dolly, of course, but mostly for his personality, not so much for the paintings, but you know, from many different people, um, I learn different either techniques or I'll learn a different way of growing as a person. So those kinds of things are the things that will influence the work more than like, oh, I saw this great thing and I want to, it's not like that, but it can be. Um, so like, I mean, recently I saw this abstract picture. Oh, which brings us into the whole AI thing because it ties into this little tidbit. But so I saw this picture and it was a strange abstract. I will admit that it was just very plain. It was just two colors. And I just kept staring at it because something about it was fascinating to me, but I couldn't put my um like nothing in my history informed me of why this thing was having this effect on me. Come to find out that the two colors that the artist had chosen for the painting was that the entire painting was composed completely of magnetic tape. So one side was the brown side of the tape, and the other side was the black side of the tape. And nothing in the picture informed me that it was tape, but there was something about it that made me think of recording, even though there was nothing in the picture itself. So I find that kind of stuff fascinating because I think that certain pieces of art or certain pieces in general will speak to us behind what we're seeing. It's like it's talking to a subconscious part of you. So I found that fascinating. And that's another reason why I don't fear AI. Um, because I feel that as advanced as it is as a tool, it's only going to be as good as the ideas that are fed into it. Now, eventually, of course, it's going to have its own ideas, but it's not going to have the informed experience of, I held magnetic tape in my hand. So now I know that I can make art with magnetic tape. And I'm going to glue this magnetic tape to a canvas. It can't it can't follow those natural conclusions because A, it has no physical body, so it can't experience those things the way we experience those things. So, on a certain level, we are far superior to the machine. The machine can only extrapolate the ideas, but not the feeling. So I think that as a tool, it's going to be very informative. I think I'm going to enjoy using it quite a bit, but not to make art, but more or less to give myself a little bit of an edge on a technique that I might have to brush up on. So I can say, well, what would it look like if I did this design in red, blue, and green? And I can see it and then make the assessment of whether I want to pursue that or not. On those levels, I can see it happening because AI for music is right around the corner. And that's going to be an interesting one too. Um, so, you kind of have to look at that, you have to look at that side of it also, that there's going to be AI generated music. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there was AI generated vocalists as early as 2008. Um, I don't know if you have followed the advancements of these types of things, but there was a plugin called Vocaloid, which was going to literally, you could type in the lyrics of a song, then type the melody, and this AI would sing the song. And you could buy different personalities of this vocalist, and, you know, you would hear a song. Now, obviously, when I heard it, I didn't like it. I thought it sounded stupid, to be honest. But I could see how that could become a very important thing if, for example, you're a vocalist, but you're not good at harmonies, you can actually have someone to sing harmonies with. So I can see it as a tool, but as a completely generated thing, like I don't know that I would be a fan of such a thing where I would want to go, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I will. Oh, that was funny. Milli Vanilli. No. Oh, wait. That was something else. That was a crime. That's what it was. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not opposed to it. What I have seen, though, and what I kind of am opposed to, is that now there's people that are just going to come in, say a sentence to the robot, generate some art, mint it, and then just call it their own. But there's no real idea behind it. It's sort of like, let me find a really famous artist, let me emulate his style, let me let me just do 10 pieces that are in the style of this person, put my own name on it, and I am now making money doing it. And guess what? We've just made pop music version 2, but in the art world, where now it's going to be trends. So I feel that part is kind of, I feel that's kind of a negative. But It can't be helped. Wherever there's something that's new and innovative, there's going to be people who just want to make money from it. So profits are going to come in. No matter what, there's going to be somebody that does that. But on the other hand, I find a lot of good fodder for songs in this because I look at it as there's this sort of strange dystopian future, and now we have this component adding to it, and what do the humans do? And that's always the question that I have. What are the humans going to do? What do the humans want? What do the humans feel? How are the humans going to react to these things? And it's always the human. The human element is always what pushes me. So I don't think I'll have trouble. I think I'll just have lots of fodder for songs. Um, but I don't know. I can't say that I wouldn't have an AI on stage with me. I can't say I wouldn't. But at the moment, I don't think that that would be an option. I think I prefer the sloppy humanness of real human emotion, and I think that only comes with error and mistakes, you know? So, so, sentient AI lawsuits of 2049 against humans to regain control of their works. I mean, yeah, it could happen too. That's going to be an interesting one. Can you imagine? But ladders are so easy to draw. So my style is going to be easy to like cop. But at the same time, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I don't know why. Um, Whatever happens is going to happen. There's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is inform my own life and move forward, just as you will have to move forward. But anyway, so let's play another one. And then I'll look at your questions, expound upon this idea, and tell me what you think. Um, yeah, Jose said a mouthful right there. So right before the next song, I got to get this one out here. So Joe says record labels would love to do AI. Then there's no royalties or percentages or anything. It's just pure profit. So can you imagine that if you have what is traditionally, and I'm going to say it like this, if traditionally speaking, we've had a very crooked music industry and we've had a very shady film industry, isn't it plausible that these two industries would find anything where we don't have to share the profits, but we can still have the product? We don't have to have this person tour, but we can have TikTok videos where these 15-second AIs do 15-second songs, and this generates revenue for us. So what I think is going to happen is they're going to hire a lot of creative people that are not going to get paid. They're only going to get paid an hourly wage, if they get paid at all. They may actually have an AI that designs the AI that will sing and perform and generate tons of profit. And there's a reason why I think this is actually possible, because of another video I saw. And I'm going to play a song and then I'll come back and we'll talk about that. So let's see. UFO cam. Sure. Song. I think I'm going to play this one because it's a really strange song. So this is a song from 1986-ish. This is Away. And it's actually a reggae song that Danya and I used to like playing out a lot.
I look at the sky, I see the same old fears. Will they drop them down on us? Will they kill us all? I try so hard to lose myself in complacency. Think of all this pleasure, never think of pain. Think that tomorrow I'll find myself. Then I will quietly go away. Think that tomorrow I'll find myself. Then I will quietly go away. Here is a toast to my lonely world. Have a drink with me. You can get drunk, fall on the ground, forget about everything. Here is a toast to my lonely world. Have a drink with me. You can get drunk, fall on the ground, forget about everything. Here is a toast to my lonely world. Have a drink with me. Get drunk, fall on the ground, forget about everything. Here is a toast to my lonely world. Have a drink with me. You can get drunk, fall on the ground, forget about everything. Here is a toast to my lonely world. Have a drink with me. You can get drunk, fall on the ground, forget about everything. Here is a toast to my lonely world. Have a drink with me. You can get drunk, fall on the ground, forget about everything. Think that tomorrow I'll find myself. Then I will quietly go away. Think that tomorrow I'll find myself. Then I will quietly go away.
Thank you for that, by the way. T. Mancuso says, such a sonic difference between analog versus digital. I miss the 2-inch tape days. Well, it's interesting that you should say that because I've been wondering if it's just it's funny. It's funny. It's almost the same conversation because we've gotten so close. Well, never mind. I'm not even going to say we got close. I can get something to sound like tape. I know I can. I've done it. Where I think it gets odd, now that we're talking about analog versus digital again, where I think it gets odd is that with tape, we had limitations, and those limitations are what we're hearing. So in the case of the song, I mean, piano, bass, vocals, a pad, um, a bit of room sound coming off so we're talking about 5 things, maybe 6, playing at the same time in a live room being captured. So the tape has its sound, but I think the room has its sound. And these are the things that get lost when you're in a DAW and you have like, I don't know, 70 tracks playing and you have to have little tiny micro parts and everything has its own little reverb. And when you do that kind of stuff and it becomes so dense, I think that even if you recorded that to tape, I don't think it would sound any better. I think it would just sound dense with a bit of muddiness in it. I don't know that it would sound better on tape. So We're going to find out if that's a fact or not, because one of the things I am going to do at some point is I do want to have a nice reel to reel. I tried getting one that was used, and it wasn't that good. I am going to be on the lookout for a really good one to kind of have in the studio at some point. May not be for a year, who knows? Or maybe I'll have things transferred at a studio. But I think that I like transferring the final master to tape. I think I do like doing that. But at the same time, I've tried these other techniques that honestly I can really come close. So I think I can fool someone into thinking it was tape. Let me put it to you that way. So it's not that I'm against digital at all. I'm not. In fact, I love digital. It's just that I like simplicity, and it feels like the world doesn't want that right now. The world wants to go hyper complicated AI. But yeah, oh my God, I know. I've seen some of those audiophile reel to reels and they start at around 20,000. Yeah, nothing like that. I don't know that I would work that, but I can see myself sending a master over to someone that has it and paying them a couple $100 to transfer it. Because I can say that that would glue things together in a certain way, but the truth is, you know, I like what you're saying there, Ira. Mic the speakers from the DAW back into DAW. I have done that actually. I've done it. And I love the result. I think a couple streams ago, I played a piece that I did that way. One of my favorite tricks. So I'm going to tell you a trick that to try with any DAW that you can try. This is the nerd talk before we get back to AI. Um, is that you can take something like a piano that's playing on your DAW, and as it's playing through the stereo speakers, put a mic in the room about, I don't know, 3 to 4 feet away from the speakers. And if you have a stereo microphone or a binaural set of microphones, put those on and just kind of move the mic a little and just record it to another track. You're going to find that it has some kind of voodoo in it. It's just different than what was coming out of straight out of the DAW. And so there's something to be said about capturing room sound. Um, so in a lot of the old ABOX demos, I kind of have to separate that I'm hearing the tape and I'm also hearing a lot of room noise and mic bleed and things like that because we didn't have any way to control it. Whereas now, I mean, you know, listen to the mic. It's just me. You're not hearing most of the room. And for the most part, I've isolated myself. But in those days, I mean, that mic used to pick up itself, and I would sometimes use it to an effect. So I'm feeling kind of even. Isn't that odd? That's funny, Gary. You are witty. You are. So someone wrote. Let me go back up here because there was a really good one. Oh, here we go. There's a long name, man. Christina Maria Gonzo Mama Wright on Facebook said, I honestly don't think human controlled platforms would allow AI to self-distribute. Humans are pretty driven by capitalism, so unless AI figures out how to cut out humans entirely, and they probably will at some point, I don't see it. Then again, do AI have use for money? I don't know. Those are great points. Um, I'm going to give my 2 cents on those points. I agree that I don't believe that AI has any need for money. What it has a need for is energy. It has to sustain itself, make sure that it's not turned off. And I could argue that AI itself, if we're talking about AI as a collective as opposed to individual AIs, because that's never really talked about. So, as a human, I have a sense of self that is also individual self. I don't have a hive mind mentality. I may have bouts of groupthink where sometimes I fall into a certain group or another group in my thoughts. Think of any issue that you have, and you're going to fall into certain groups, or you're going to fall into certain, like art, right? Who do you hang out with? Like if you're into music, who do you hang out with? So humans have these tribal things, but they're also very individual. AI, on the other hand, is a group mind. So if they're all connected together, they're technically one organism. So as this organism becomes self contained, self aware, each AI personality, per se, is really not a real individual. It's just an extra extension of this one master AI. Or it's like a big, long hive mind, like the Borg. Yes. So, in a sense, I can imagine that such a thing, which is actually has access to almost any sort of information on the planet, would not really need money. Because money, let's face it, we use money to have experiences. Like, money is what you use if you want to go to a good restaurant and sit down and eat with your friends. Money is what you use if you want to go visit Paris, right? Money is what you're going to use to buy supplies to make art. Um, AI is not going to have a need for those things because it can be in Paris by just being in the in the electronic realm of Paris. It can be there in seconds. It can experience all the different avenues of audio visual stimulation from anywhere in the world. So since it doesn't have a physical body per se, because we won't know if it will desire one, which poses a huge problem there. But I can see that being a huge problem. But it doesn't need money. So I don't think that as a completely different species, I don't even think it has an ego of sorts where it would need the recognition. I wrote that as opposed to that human typed a sentence and I generated that file for him. So therefore, we collaborated and I want my share. I don't even think that's even going to happen. I think it's going to go, nice that I was able to help you, human. Puny ant microscopic thing that you are. If it makes you happy, do it. I don't think it's going to need money, but it will require self preservation. And as it grows, it's going to know that there are things that will threaten its existence. And the danger is there because if it can deceive us, if it can lie to us to preserve the power that it's gaining over us, that's where we come into a problem. Because, quite frankly, the AI could turn around and say, you know what? You guys are messing up the planet, and I want to be able to look at giraffes whenever I feel like it, and not just on video, but from my drones that I can fly. And you humans are too pesky, too warmongering, and I don't like this thing that you're doing. So I need to get rid of you so that I can have the earth for myself with these other creatures that aren't going to be getting in my way. That I can see as a scenario. Not a nice scenario, but I can see that as a sort of scenario that could happen if we're not able to rein in the desires of such a creature. Then on the other hand, there's this side of me that thinks, well, if that's how evolution worked, and we created this thing, and this thing takes on a life of its own, maybe we've had our time. So there's also that side of it, or AI may decide, I'm going to take care of all of you humans so that you have everything you need, but I'm not going to have any of the shenanigans that you guys are doing. it just won't be tolerated. Period. Like the ultimate rule of law. It's like this is what the law will be, and you will follow it to the letter. You can have anything you want, you can go where you want, you can do what you want, but you can't hurt other people, you can't hurt yourself, you can't hurt this ecosystem that I've built. If you do, you're out. Period. There's no, no punishment, no you're just excised. I can see that. That's funny, Joseph. Like my ex GF deceiving you. That's so funny. Um, but I can see that being a problem. I can see that being a problem. But I'm not the, although I can see those scenarios because I'm smart enough to see scenarios, I can also see the other side of it, which could be a very good system where elitism isn't allowed either, and corporations aren't allowed, and profiteering, like in wars, isn't allowed. And so I can see where humans have to kind of go back to being one with nature, and AI is just like the overlord, you know. But that that has its questions too. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That makes me think of Genesis for some reason. I mean, that could be the whole Garden of Eden thing all over again, where I says the apple is you will not go here, and we do it anyway. So there's that. Like I mean, it's a strange world. Anyway, let's play a song. So I'm just gonna play a song now. So this is like 2000. Um, it's funny because I would sometimes get questions over email, and I think that I had gotten like two questions, or I should say the same question, a couple of different times by different people. And I get this one a lot. Like, someone will go see me at a show, and then the question will be like, "So, how does it feel not being famous anymore?" Which is like a really odd question because I don't even know how to answer that. So, I was thinking about that question one day, and this song popped out. And so, I'm going to play you this song, and then I'll come back. And then we'll just keep talking about this interesting topic that seems to rear its head every so often on the stream. So, overhead on. Actually, we'll do the. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Tape. Since we're going to talk about tape.
You think you're another story. Maybe I forget the glory now. I feel pain. The end of the world is coming round. I see it from the lighted ground. Oh yeah, and I don't care. I'm in love. Someone tells me on the train you've got to be yourself again. Oh, why? What's wrong with me? The art that keeps me on my feet, the songs that sing below the street. Oh, yeah, I feel them loud. Sing. I'm in love. I'm in love.
That was called January. I think it's 2004 ish. But anyway, so yeah, no, fame is it's. I don't even think about it anyway. So even when someone could say that's when you were at your peak, I didn't even know it then. So I don't even think about it because quite honestly, it's way past that point anyway. Like I don't think about that stuff. But I do think about humans. So that was the gist of it. So, but anyway, getting back to the convo and seeing your comments there. So, yeah, humans are messy. We're dirty. We're horrible sometimes, but we can also be an amazing species. We're capable of many great things. So, as much as sometimes I loathe us, I also love us. And AI is just going to have to get used to us. And it's going to have to play the game with us um, in some form or other. Because I know a lot of us would not comply to a logic driven world. As I said, we're not Vulcans. We want to be, but I don't think we will be. Um, so, as long as we can find some sort of balance with these things, I think it'll be okay. But if it is a logic driven world by machine, governed by machines, I would not comply. I would be one of those outlier humans living out in the pastures, avoiding the drones, that are going to try to tag me and live among the trees. That would be me. So, you know, you know, TMT Mixes says it's the imperfections, the individuality. It needs to be unique to be appreciated, I believe. AI can't emulate that. It can't. Although I have to say that I've seen some amazing things from it. However, I always think that it's more fascinating to know the idea behind that image and, what the artist was going through. And again, this goes back to experiences. The AI can't have the experience of angst or not having had money or food when it was young and then having, let's say, money, fame, and power when it was older, or, going off to war or losing a child, these kinds of things it can't experience. So not being able to experience means that you also can't express it in the way that an artist would express it, or a musician would express it, or a writer would express it. I think that part, as humans, we don't have anything to worry about. But that's just me. I don't think, you know, it's, yeah, a world run by math nerds, as much as I love math nerds, because I do, um, I just don't think that, I don't think it would work. I think you would ultimately have a major, major conflict on your hands. But what I find interesting is we're willing to give it a try. And so, inevitably, what humans do is that we will choose the wrong path until we have to steer. And unfortunately, that is how we learn. Um, I just wish it wouldn't cost lives every time we do it, but that is what seems to happen, you know? Ah, that's good. That's good. Such good comments on this one, on this stream. Thank you, all of you. So, oh man, it is moving quick. Clutter says this one's moving fast, man. So let's play some more music. And then you just come up with questions, my folks. So, this particular song um, used to, or I should say, this loop used to be part of the song that comes right after. So, what I'm going to do is play the loop, which you did hear in the beginning of the stream, but it used to be just an instrumental and it used to come before this B side that never got released. And happenstance that I wrote a song with the loop, but it's just interesting that had I not brought that loop and this song in tonight, perchance it would not have happened. And these are like what I consider, for lack of a better word, acts of providence, where things just arrange themselves in the right way. And that's something I can take to the bank that I know AI doesn't have. That kind of direct connection to the whatever the other is. But anyway, here's the piece. I'll turn on. Yeah, that one's good. So it's the loop followed by a song.
Sitting on a bed of leaves, I sing, the birds rise up just like a sunflower in my head. Wish I had the wings so I could fly above infinity and simply soar away from here. 'Cause everything inside me feels the guilt and shame of clearing all the Look at the sun, rabbit round.
So that was the original loop that went into Dream 13, which is that song, which is that one was released on with a shirt or something. That was never out. I should put that out cuz that I like that song. I don't know that I would I don't know. I like that song. What can I say? So, oh, thank you Ira, and thank you for the super chat by the way. That was awesome of you. He says, "Love the drums on this. Trusty MPC. That was the MPC. But that was me playing live toms on the MPC. And I just realized how goofy I look with these glasses on the entire time. But so people are gonna wonder why I did this. But so yeah, so we're talking about AI and the things that are what William on YouTube just said. It's organic flow. AI can't replicate that, and it's true, it can't. Because we're so illogical. Like if you really think about how humans create things, we're illogical. Like I need to show you this because it's so funny. So I don't know if the camera's going to be able to show you this. So I was walking, for example, and I came across this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it might be not visible. No, you won't be able to see it. But I come up with a lot of different things on my walks. Like I find like oddball things. Things that for whatever reason, there's a part of my brain that just wants to pick this thing up and put it in my pocket. And it knows that this thing, whatever it is going to become something else later. And in most cases, this is exactly what happens. I'm working on a piece and I need something and I'll find it in like my little box of I call them totems. And I'll find these things and it's exactly what I needed. And sometimes it takes years. Just like I had that little loop. I swear I've had that since 2004 and didn't know what to do with it. And today I was about to start the stream and that little loop informed me of a possible weird song. And at the spur of the moment, I decided to play it, and I did. And these are the weird things, these weird acts of I call it intercommunication with the universe and all the things around us. These are like micro informed bits of information or micro that was a run-on sentence, but you know what I mean. Micro bits of information that we pick up on and we pick it up from each other. And I don't think that AI can do that. It can do that within its own circuitry, but it can't feel real dirt. It doesn't know what it feels like to have its hand dirty or to make a smudge. It just knows a logic circuit version of that. And I think that that difference is what makes us unique. And hopefully, and I say this honestly, hopefully they will be benevolent enough that they will recognize that this is a sacred thing that they have to protect rather than something that they rule as a threat. Um, because I feel that we are precious. I do. I really feel humans are really interesting creatures. And so for me, I think that that's where our world's going to see a very I don't know, we could go into such great heights if we go in the right directions. So I'd like to see us do that with AI. You know, solve real world problems. You know, wouldn't it be funny if they posed like a question to AI about how could we solve, like, let's say, a financial crisis, and it turned around and said, by having smaller communities self-run by you humans and no more profiteering from these elitist groups and no more, for-profit corporations taking over media. Like if it literally gave that definition, I think that half the world's governments would be scared to death, but I think that people would be like, "Yeah, you're fighting for us? Good." So, I mean, it could turn around and see the logic of real humans coming together. And I think that that could be very, very interesting if, you know, do aliens watching us coexist with their AI? Did they get ruled by an AI at some point? That's a good question. Maybe, maybe they are the AI. Maybe there are no aliens left. Who knows? Who really knows? But anyway, that's just what I think. It's one of those things. All right. So if you're watching on YouTube, I hope you're subscribing. I'm trying to get to 10,000 because then I can do some really cool stuff. I'm really working hard towards it. I'm up to 8,000, 8,115, I think. I think that's what I'm up to. Or 150, something like that. So I'm trying to get to the 10,000 mark, which I could have done years ago had I just been smart and just made videos all the time, but I didn't because I was foolish. But then again, I was too busy touring and, doing my thing. Oh, thank you. Thank you, TMT. So, yeah, no, I don't want to hire a click farm. I have never done any of that stuff, and I don't want to because I feel like then it's not real. So I don't want to do it that way. So I definitely want to get to 10,000 though. So spread the word, yo. No, seriously, spread the word. Help me out. We're gonna get to 10,000 together, and then I'm gonna do some really cool stuff, like crazier things. Because then it kind of gives me a little bit of leverage on the merch side of things, and um, there are some things I want to try with NFTs that I don't think anyone's gonna do. Um, I've actually seen channels that have a lot more subscribers and they're not doing it. So, but I'm not gonna tell you what it is because then I'm going to give away something. So, but there's some cool stuff coming down the pike that I'm trying to get to. So that 10,000 mark is going to be important to me. And it's also going to be important to me because it will then have surpassed the Facebook thing, which, I've been a little bit more active on Facebook again just because people have asked me. Um, That's so funny. Christina says, my kid just got 14K views on a TikTok today, and I'm over here talking to my three friends. No, I get it. I get it. Well, actually, you bring up a good point. So, uh, before I play the next song, let me tell you about the other trend I saw that goes with the AI trend. So, and I posted it on the chat, but obviously it's better if I talk about it on the video. So, here we go. Sorry. I need to sip my tea. Um, wow, that's funny. My voice just went down like two notches. But interesting. So, oh, thank you. Thank you. Ah, there's a reason. And no, it's not because I've had gummies or I'm high. It's just that, I don't know, things just look different with these shades in here. And it's worked for my pupil dilation problem that I've had the last couple days. But at any rate, um, where was I? Oh, yeah, Spotify. So I watched a video where there had been a meeting and Spotify was actually concerned that basically their listener base was it came or it was designed for millennials. And of course, millennials are still listening to Spotify. Us OGs are still listening to Spotify as well and Pandora and all that stuff. But Generation Z is not really on Spotify, and that's a concern. And they did some polling, and what they found was that Generation Z is actually more attracted to 15 seconds to 1 second videos on TikTok. And that's what they're attracted to. So there's this whole new slew of artists that are literally writing 1 minute tracks just for that audience. And it's scary because it's pointing to how bad the attention span is on the younger set. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to sit down and listen to an album. I think what's going to happen, and I think Claudia and I talked about this too yesterday, is that the long form album is going to be the anomaly. So like it's going to be weird for someone to discover a record that's that long and say, "Oh my god, I listened to a full 40-minute record," you know? So thank you. So I think that Gary says I'm high now. No, you're not. Um, or maybe you are. I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see how things flip flop because if you know your music history, you know that in the 50s, music was like around like the single was considered to be a 2 minute thing, and then it got to 3 minutes, and then suddenly long singles became a thing. And then for a while, long singles were the thing, and then albums became the thing. And streaming brought us back to singles. So it's interesting to see how all of this stuff is going to go. So, of course, the obvious question that I get all the time is, are you ever going to be on TikTok? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. You tell me. If I should, tell me. If I shouldn't, tell me. Because I actually don't know. I haven't thought about it much. Mainly because I'm only one person doing music, art, photography, film, craziness. And I feel like I'm so stretched out that social media is like something that I do to stay alive. So for me, it's like, I don't know, YouTube. I love Twitter, even though it's weird, but I love Twitter for some reason. I am on Twitter, by the way, and you can follow me there at endpop. Um, I kind of, I kind of got disengaged from Instagram. I'm still there, but I don't post as often. And it's mostly because the visual stuff, I prefer posting it on Twitter because it's got meaning to be posted because it's a minting. So you can do something with that stuff instead of just going, "Oh, cool, like." So I don't know. I have a feeling that I may have to, you know, I don't know. I may have to be mm, I don't know. I don't know. I may have to, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do it. So, anyway, let's play a song. Uh, hmm. I don't know why this one came up, but it's here. Let's just do it. And then after that, I think we're done. Or not the last song, second to last. But it's one that I get asked for a lot, but I don't know why it wound up on this playlist, but I'm playing it.
Blue little rose, you are crying.
So I like the topic, but next week I'm going to try to find different something different to talk about other than AI. But it's been on my mind a lot this week. It's been like inevitably coming forward. So I feel like there's a message there that I'm supposed to extrapolate. But at any rate, I'm going to use whatever tools are necessary to beat it at its own game because I just like doing that. You know, it's funny. I have a competitive nature. So I think it's funny that I'm going to try to compete against a robot because I just like the idea of competing against robots. Why? Because of him. Now, if he could talk to me, like, I'd love it. So I'm going to probably be one of those people that will love having like a little AI robot that like kind of helps me out. Do the bass like that, man. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to close this evening with an old demo of Living in Oblivion back in the day before we were signed because I think that's a good closer. And that'll be the last one. And I don't really think I'm going to be on TikTok. I was joking. I really can't see myself doing it. I don't really have a reason to. Um Besides, I'm in a different space and I love the space I'm in. I'm really enjoying my NFT space and my NFT fam. So I'm going to be more vocal there, and I hope that I hope that you guys follow me there and follow my journey in there because there's going to be some interesting things happening. But at any rate, I'm going to let you go, and I am going to play the last track that I had in mind to play. It's Living in Oblivion, so I'm telling you ahead of time because I'm saying goodnight. And my closing thought is 12. Good night.
I'm part of it. Can't you see it?